Carl, the Christmas Carp by Ian and Krykorka. On a chilly December morning, Radim and his friend Mila stood on Charles Bridge, spitting at the boats that passed below. "If I ever catch you bothering those boats, there will be trouble," Radim's mother had warned him more than once. "But don't be such a chicken, Radim," Mila had taunted, and what were the chances that his mother would walk by? Below, on the Vltava River, angry riverboat captains shook their fists at the two friends. "Cut that out, you two," they shouted. "I have half a mind to come up there and teach you a lesson." But of course, they never did. Radim and Mila grew bored of their mischief and walked to the old town square where the huge Christmas tree stood. It towered above the dozens of stands selling hot mulled wine and trinkets, looking almost taller than the cathedral behind it. Lights flashed on and off all over its branches, turning the children's thoughts to presents and Christmas chocolate. From there, they walked to Wenceslas Square, where they hopped on the number 14 tram that would take them home. "What did you ask baby Jesus for this Christmas?" asked Mila. "Well, I really want new skates, but my mom says that kids who don't eat their cauliflower don't get expensive gifts like that." "That's easy," Mila said. "Eat your cauliflower." Ugh! Radim hated cauliflower, and he wasn't sure that eating another bite was worth all the presents in the world. But that night, Radim's family had cauliflower again for dinner. "And you want expensive Christmas gifts? Eat your cauliflower, or I'll tell baby Jesus what a naughty boy you are," scolded his mother. Radim scowled as he nibbled at his dinner. Even Bruchek, the dog, turned his nose up at the bits that Radim slipped under the table. The next day, Radim and his father went out to buy a carp for Christmas dinner. Huge wooden barrels filled with fish lined the main streets of Prague. Radim's father was very particular about his Christmas carp. Every year, he would walk down the streets holding Radim's hand, stopping at the rare barrel that met his approval. Where were the fish from? He would ask. What had they been fed? How long had they been in the barrel? Sometimes, just when Radim thought they had settled on a fish, his father would grumble and give it another poke. Then he would thank the man for his time and walk away. "You see, Radim," he would say, "that carp was fatty. It hadn't had enough exercise. No, we can find a better dinner." This Christmas was no different. They walked around their neighborhood for hours, made dozens of stops, and asked what seemed like hundreds of questions before Radim's father finally settled on a carp. The vendor fished it out of the container, weighed it, and put it in the canvas bag they had brought with them. Radim and his father wished the man a Merry Christmas and headed home with their prize. "My, but you two have chosen a fine fish this year," Radim's mother cried. "Go put him in the bathtub and come for supper." Radim and his father went to the bathroom, filled the tub, and dumped the fish in with a splash. "Your mother's right, Radim," said his father. "We picked out a real beauty." Now, carp are not beautiful, no matter what Radim's father said. In fact, they are very ugly fish indeed. They have bulbous eyes and whiskers like a cat, and this one was no different. "You are very ugly," said Radim to the fish. The fish floated in the middle of the tub, doing nothing at all. Radim and his father left the carp and went to have dinner. Thankfully, there was no cauliflower. After dinner, Radim did not listen to the soccer game on the radio with his father. Instead, he sat on a stool in the bathroom and watched the Christmas carp. It floated just as they had left it, opening and closing its mouth. "I'm sorry we have to eat you," said Radim. The carp did not react. Either he didn't care or he didn't understand. "I don't even like carp that much," said Radim. "It's only a little bit better than cauliflower, and I hate cauliflower." Still nothing from the fish. As he watched the fish, Radim got to thinking that it looked a bit like his Uncle Carl. "He has whiskers like you, and bulging eyes," Radim informed the carp. "I think I'll call you Carl." Carl gave no sign as to whether he liked his new name or not. Radim's mother came in and packed him off to bed, but Radim had trouble sleeping. He tossed and he turned, and all through the night he dreamed fishy dreams. The next morning, Radim and Mila went skating. "I feel bad for Carl," said Radim as he walked to the rink. "Who's Carl?" Mila asked. "Our Christmas carp. He looks a lot like my uncle." "You named your dinner after a relative?" asked Mila. "Do you do that every year?" Mila's family never had carp for Christmas dinner. Her father must be the one person in Prague who hated carp, she thought. "I know he's just a fish, but I'm sure something goes on behind those bulging eyes," said Radim. Mila was not so sure. After all, fish are very stupid animals. It's not like you can teach them to sit, fetch, or beg, she said. When they got to the rink, Radim put on his old skates, the ones with holes so large that the wind whistled around his toes while the two friends whizzed around the ice. After a little while, Radim's toes got so cold that he had to stop. "Say hi to Carl for me," Mila said, laughing over her shoulder as she skated away. As soon as he got home, Radim went straight to the bathtub to see Carl. His mother came in with a bowl of breadcrumbs. "Here, Radim," she said, "feed the fish so he'll be nice and plump for tomorrow." Radim threw the crumbs to Carl, who sluggishly slurped them up. "Maybe you're not so ugly after all," he told the fish. "The scales on your belly shine like hundreds of little gold coins. No wonder people carry them around in their wallets for good luck." It was hard to say whether or not Carl appreciated the compliment. In the living room, Radim's mother was writing New Year's cards. "Mom," said Radim, "maybe we could let Carl go and have a chicken." "Who's Carl?" asked his mother without looking up from her writing. "I named her Carp Carl because he looks like Uncle Carl." Radim's mother laughed at the idea that the carp in the bathtub looked like her brother. "Don't be ridiculous, Radim," she said. "Nobody eats chicken at Christmas." Radim went to bed that night feeling sad indeed for his scaly friend. At 6 o'clock, Radim woke knowing what he had to do. He dressed in the dark and snuck into the bathroom with the canvas bag. Radim scooped up Carl along with some water so he could breathe. "Come on, Carl," whispered Radim. "I'm going to save you." The fish gave no reply. Radim eased the apartment door shut behind him and took the stairs so the noisy elevator wouldn't wake his parents. He and Brudchek walked around to the side of the building where Mila lived and tapped on her window. Mila opened her window sleepily. "What are you doing? Do you know what time it is?" she demanded. "I'm saving Carl. I'm going to let him go in the Vltava," said Radim. "Your parents will kill you," Mila said, her eyes wide. "Can I come?" By the time Radim and Mila reached the edge of the river, Carl had been in the bag for a long time. Worried that he might be running out of oxygen, they plunged the bag into the river and opened it so the carp could swim out. But the ugly fish just floated inside the canvas bag. "Come on, Carl, swim!" shouted Radim. "Do you want to end up on the Christmas dinner table like all of your friends?" Carl inched his way out of the bag into the river. Then he stopped and turned to face Radim and Mila. He opened and closed his mouth a few times. Finally, he turned again and swam away. "Well, I guess that's that," said Mila. "Let's go home." All the way home, Radim worried about what his parents would say. "I think you'll be lucky to get a lump of coal in your stocking this year," offered Mila. "Yep," she continued, "your parents will be pretty mad." And she was right. When Radim's parents woke up and saw that their Christmas dinner had escaped, they were very confused. "But how is that possible?" they asked one another. Radim's father knelt and looked all around another bathtub, but Carl was nowhere to be found. It didn't take them long to ask their son if he knew anything about the matter. "I'm sorry," Radim said. "I felt so bad about eating Carl that I just had to let him go." "What are we going to eat for Christmas dinner now?" demanded his mother. "We'll never find another carp in time," said his father crossly. It was growing light, but the only person about was a local lamplighter putting out the streetlights. Not a carp barrel in sight. Radim stared at the ground. But Radim's parents couldn't stay angry with their son for long. "I guess we'll be eating a lot of cauliflower tonight," they joked with one another. Just then the phone rang. It was Mila's father. "Our daughter told us a funny little fish story today," he said, laughing. "And as you seem to be short one Christmas dinner, my wife and I thought you'd like to join us tonight." That Christmas, despite what Radim's mother had said, both families sat down together and had a delicious Christmas chicken, one picked out very carefully by Mila's father. And though Radim had robbed his parents of their delicious carp, something special was waiting for him under the tree after all. But he still had to eat his cauliflower.